Hey guys, another quick video, and this time it's a beginner's entry guide to Le Mans Ultimate. Has to be said, sim racing in 2025 is now more immersive than ever before. We've got updates from all of the major sims, we've got a set up Corsa Evo, we've got an iRacing update which looks quite promising, and then we have the driver swap pending in LMU, along with a few other goodies coming as well. Jumping into a new sim though can be intimidating, new systems, different physics, and a learning curve that can feel, kind of steep, right? So if you're new to LMP, or even new to sim racing in general, this guide is going to help you and give you the tools to make the first few hours really count inside of the sim. This can be applied to most simulators, but it is kind of focused on LMU, but as I said, it can still be applied elsewhere. So everything from setting up the profile within the sim, and with LMU we have the race control thing, understanding some basic game settings. In the daily races we'll walk through that kind of step by step, and we'll figure out kind of how that all works inside of Le Mans Ultimate. We'll also then have a quick link through of the cars, the GT3s and LMP2s. At the start they're going to be kind of the best bets and the most friendly and easy to get into. And then what you can expect then when you do finally decide to take on one of the hypercars, and they are not for the faint of heart if you're not used to them. So whether you're here to race casually or push for that extra position in a league, this can be the foundation. So let's get on track. Let's have a look and see what's under the hood in LMU. So once you've launched Le Mans Ultimate, head over to the profile section. This is basically your central hub for tracking the driver history, the race stats, and where you stand within the ranking system, along with a readout of your race history. In addition to seeing driver rank, you'll also be able to see all of the past races you've gone and competed in, results from the races across GT3, LMP2 and Hypercar classes. You can then click on any event, and that will dig deeper into the performance, such as the overall ranking impact that it's had, the position, your starting position, and then driver rank and safety rank. This is tracking things like consistency and how many contacts or lack of contacts you've had with other drivers. This affects your safety rank and your driver rank. Next up is the daily races. This is where all new drivers are going to spend the majority of their time. Every day, LMU will host races in GT3, typically for beginners, where you can click in and you'll be able to see the various rankings that apply. Typically, you'll have stuff like tire warmers, and then you'll have a driver and safety rank multiplier. In the bronze and the beginner races where assists are allowed, this is usually set to 1. On intermediate then, which is a different list or a different selection of races, typically the WEC Experience and LMP and GT cars, these will have a 2x on the driver and safety rank typically. You can also see if tire warmers are allowed, along with other server settings as well, and the entry list will also be present. And then moving into the advanced, where no assists are allowed, and there's only low assists on the intermediate, by the way. But on the advanced, assists are blocked, and this will have then a 3x impact on driver rank and safety rank. It must be noted though that from beginner through to advanced races, the length of the race also increases, as does the competition, and typically how clean the race will be. You can also then go in to see the full schedule of all of these races on a weekly stats. This usually updates every Tuesday. From time to time, LMU will also have some special events and weekly events. Okay, now let's talk about GT3 cars. This is the perfect starting point for any new driver into LMU. They strike a balance between speed, stability and forgiving handling, and they'll teach you everything you need to know in order to build a solid racing foundation. They're all about momentum and rhythm, and they're not as fast in a straight line as any of the prototypes, but they seem to reward smooth inputs and precise cornering. This recent league race at the Bahrain outer layout, it really does highlight that. The long braking zones into the final corner and into turn 1, leading into the slow hairpins, really does challenge precise driver inputs. Trail braking is still going to be your friend. Ease off the brakes as you normally would in any other car, and slowly rotate into the corner without unsettling the car. Although the GT3 does have ABS, It does also allow you to brake later than you can in other classes. Just don't rely on it if you're after out-and-out lap time. Don't get sloppy the way you have probably been in other sims. ACC, I'm looking at you. The electronic aids like ABS and traction control are fully usable and on board with these cars, but the traction control can take some fine-tuning. Don't be afraid to run higher numbers than you would in other sims. This is different, and tyres in LMU do go through a few different things, from being fully cold with no grip to slipping them too much through the race, also giving no grip. It's a fine balance. Don't be afraid to change the settings. Okay, so once you're confident in GT3s, the LMP2 class is your next big challenge. It's going to be faster, a lot grippier and a lot more downforce, and it will demand some kind of new level of commitment. The reward though is incredible. LMP2 cars in Le Mans Ultimate are built around downforce. This means that the faster you go, the more grip the car is going to generate. Unlike a GT3, these cars don't rely on electronic aids like ABS, but they do have some nice traction control. With the added grip and cornering speeds being much higher, you can brake later, carry more mid-corner speed and get back on the power that bit sooner. But it only works if you stay smooth. If you jerk the wheel or slam the brakes, you're going to lead to locking up and the car just won't turn. Trail braking becomes even more important here, as you want to carry brake pressure into the corner to rotate the car, especially in tighter corners like Bahrain's middle sector, as we're going to see in a moment. The difference here though is you don't have the safety net of ABS, so locking up a wheel is a real risk. Multi-class traffic management becomes more intense in LMP2 now that you're in the faster class. The goal becomes minimising time lost, particularly in a race scenario, and pick your overtakes carefully. Avoid forcing the issue mid-corner and don't dive bomb. Remember, if you dive bomb a GT3 from an LMP2, they have ABS, you don't. In the slow speed stuff, you don't have the downforce. The GT3 could have a slight advantage. Another aspect is stamina. In the LMP2 races, they can demand a lot more concentration because you're managing the corner speed through downforce coming off the car, slow versus high speed corners. If a GT3 teaches you the basics, the LMP is where you're going to refine them. It's a very fast car, very high downforce platform, and it's focused and quite brutal, honestly, if you make a mistake. Also, pro tip, if you're in a race and you lose the rear wing on an LMP2 car, well, it's like driving a high-speed forklift. Be very careful, you will spin, and yeah, you will probably take half the grid with you. Don't ask me how I know. Anyway, next up we'll have a look at the Hypercar. So what can we say about the Hypercar? We are basically now at the top of the pyramid in Le Mans Ultimate. They're the headliner. They're every bit as wild as they look. Don't let the factory works paint and the futuristic looks fool you. These cars can be absolutely brutal. They are probably the most difficult to drive consistently, especially if you're coming from any other sims. One of the biggest challenges in the Hypercar class is cold tyres. In Le Mans Ultimate, the Hypercar come out of the pits like they're skating on ice, quite literally, and there's no ABS, which means that warming up the tyre can be a bit of a challenge. Give it about 3 laps till you get full temperature, or well, close to it, depending on conditions. If you brake too hard and you start abusing things, you do run the risk of flat spotting the tyre, or worse, you can lose the car under braking, particularly the rear in the LMH car, because the brake torque on the front motor requires the battery to be in a concentrated state of charge to get balance. They do have a lot of aero grip, but only once you're up to speed and everything is warmed up. On a cold tyre, even small mistakes can be quite sketchy. Thankfully they do have traction control. It's adjustable on the fly, and we can also adjust front and rear anti-roll bars if you're a bit more advanced. Throttle application can be a bit of a dance on these cars. They make huge power, and if you jump on the throttle too abruptly, the back will let go. The driving style in Hypercar is all about flow. You're working with the aero, not against it. This means smooth steering, precise inputs, and give the car time to settle. Let the car work. If you do that, the car really can work in your favour. And here's where LMU really separates itself from the other sims. The physics model is quite unforgiving, especially if you come from games like maybe ACC, iRacing to an extent, AMS2. It's all in the tyre. It's not as forgiving on the outlap, but in those other sims, it is much more forgiving. Many drivers do get caught out. They lock up early, they spin, and the hypercar literally, they more often than not will end up in the wall. Locking up early and spinning on cold rubber, braking like the ABS is still there. Trust me, it isn't. This is a completely different animal of a car. The key is patience, though. Respect the tyre, manage the inputs, and give yourself a bit of practice. It does take a bit of time to get up to speed, but they are the peak of performance and the ultimate reward when you do get to that level. Like any car in any sim, when you master it and you get used to it, clean and respectful high-speed competition, drivers pushing to the edge. This is the reward for learning any car. Here's a great example of a recent league race in the hypercar class. I wasn't involved in this particular battle, but worth showing because some great battles through the field. In LMU, honestly, it's a realistic and people take it quite seriously as a simulator. It's like, skill meeting discipline, side by side through fast corners, late but measured maneuvers and so on to try and pass. And there's a real satisfaction when you race clean at this type of level. Everyone is on edge, whether it's a GT3, an LMP or a hypercar, and then you throw in the multi-class kind of aspect to it as well. So like with any good race, it's not just about going fast, but going fast together and everyone making it around the lap and no one ending up with the wall or no silly dive bombs. But yeah guys, I'll leave it there. LMU, it's an absolute gem of a racing sim. If you haven't tried it, I strongly encourage you to give it a go. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you have it already. And yeah, let's look forward to the big update in mid-June when we have the driver swaps, hopefully. Cheers.